What's going on, everybody? Big Visions here. Today we're going to be talking about Texas A&M's recruiting class, the #1 recruiting class in the nation, and also the #1 recruiting class of all time. Jimbo Fisher really put something together here with this recruiting class. I mean, just from top to bottom, 7 5-stars, 19 4-stars. It's just remarkable how he's able to put this together. Texas A&M, in the new era of NIL, this is what recruiting is going to look like. You look at it, you look at all these schools like Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and they're still at the top. But if you were to tell me A&M would get the #1 recruiting class of all time, I would not have believed you. But this is what NIL is going to do. You're going to have big time recruits go to schools that you wouldn't think they normally go to. You look at the top 3 recruits in the nation. You got Jackson State, A&M, and Missouri claiming those 3 guys, and it's just the new era of recruiting that we have now. And so if we break down, what A&M has, it's like I said, from top to bottom, it's just ridiculous. So starting with the offense, you got Connor Wingman and Max Johnson from the transfer portal. These were really nice pickups for A&M, especially considering how they've been at the quarterback positions the past few years, dealing with the inconsistencies. But you get an experienced guy like Max Johnson that can kind of, I assume he's going to be the day 1 starter for A&M unless Connor Wingman beats him out. Also, you have Haynes King in the mix. But Max Johnson, he's going to be a good veteran quarterback in that locker room. And then we kind of go down the list here. You got a stud in Le'Veon Moss at running back. You look at the receivers, all 3 of them out of the state of Texas. They recruited very well out of Texas. They've been doing that for the past few years. They definitely made a statement this year that they're still at the top of recruiting in the state of Texas. They got a couple really good tight ends, one of which Jake Johnson, which I believe is Max Johnson's brother. And then they got also these really good O-linemen to block up front. That's kind of the name of the game. You got to win up front, and Texas A&M definitely showed that here, landing 4 4-star linemen. But if we transition to the defense, on the other hand, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. 3 5-star linemen, just D linemen alone, and then along with 3 4-star edge rushers, and then throwing a 3-star in there. This is impressive considering their defensive coordinator Mike Elko left not long ago. I know he wasn't necessarily the main recruiter for these guys, but these guys really seem to trust the defensive line coach. They trust the system, and they trust Texas A&M to win games. This defensive front, I don't think I've ever seen a recruiting class position like this. Just absolutely loaded from top to bottom. This is impressive. Like I mentioned a second ago, talk about winning up front. Texas A&M, they should dominate up front with this recruiting class. Think about how many schools even have 3 5-star recruits in one class. Texas A&M has 3 5-stars at one position. That is wild. However, these guys, they're going to be competing in practice. I'm going to assume some of these guys are going to be flexed out to the edge a little bit, especially, Walter Nolan, Shamar Stewart, Gabe Dendy. These guys are going to get a lot of playing time, and they should get a lot of playing time. And so it's going to be interesting to see how, because I believe Nolan, Stewart, and Dendy are all interior D linemen. Like I said, one of them might get flexed out to the edge, assuming most defenses rush 4. But either way, this defensive line is going to be absolutely disgusting in the future. But then you look at the linebackers in the secondary, and it's just as good. You got 2 great linebackers. If they would have been able to keep Harold Perkins, that would have just been scary and almost just unfair at that point. I was kind of shocked Harold Perkins committed to A&M in the first place. I thought he was going to go LSU all the way. Then he eventually decommitted and then went to LSU. But regardless, at the end of the day, they're going to be fine without Harold Perkins. This defense this defense isn't in trouble without him. Then you got Denver Harris, Groves Kilbrew. I believe he's a Georgia flip, and then Bobby Taylor. I mean, right there, getting 3 corners, 1 5-star, 2 4-stars, along with 4 safeties. I mean, this defense is just going to be loaded from top to bottom, and it's going to be interesting. I know Durkin, their new DC, is coming in from Ole Miss. I'm curious to see how he uses this talent, but man, if this talent gets used right, I firmly believe Texas A&M can be an absolute powerhouse in the coming years. That'll do it for today's video. Texas A&M, #1 recruiting class in the nation.